Welcome! This is the Rustic Songbird podcast, and I'm your host, Lydia Walker. This show is for you if you're ready to learn more about the craft of songwriting and take your skills to the next level. Thanks so much for listening. Let's get started. My guest on the show today is Emma Feldman. She is an awesome singer-songwriter, and we have been friends for a long time, so I'm thrilled to have her on the show. Emma, thank you so much for being here.
Thank you so much for having me.
It's great to be able to share your story with more people, and I love your music. I want to share it with the world. So today we're going to dig into how you got started with your songwriting, what that journey's been like for you, and I'm hoping that our listeners will be encouraged by your process. You started very young, too.
Yeah.
So I'd like to just start from the very beginning and how you got started singing and getting into music.
Yeah, absolutely. So I started singing like before I could even talk. My mom tells me like I was humming Jesus Loves Me and songs that I'd heard at church before I could even talk. So, music has always been my thing. And I think my dad wanted me to do basketball because I'm 5'10", and he quickly found out that I don't have an athletic bone in my body. So music was just kind of the choice, the route to go. But as I got older, my parents started putting me in voice lessons because they saw that I really had this desire and passion to sing and to perform, and that just gave me a platform to do so. And we moved to Clarksville when I was 8 years old, and that, just kind of naturally put us near Nashville and in a culture that just loves music. And my dad bought me my first guitar when I was 11. And it just kind of took off from there. The songwriting thing, it just kind of came naturally. And I started writing. And at first it was, I'd write a song like every 3 months. And then, a few years later, I started developing that talent. I had people who were pouring into me and loving on me and encouraging me in that craft, which is so important. And parents who were pushing me to work hard, to do the right thing. And it started becoming, now I'm writing a song like every month, and then I'm writing a song every week. And now, 7 years later, which is kind of crazy to think about because I started so young, writing songs every day and multiple songs every day. And it's just, I'm so thankful for how God has led and used that gift. And I think it's just so important that, when we commit our gifts to God, we give him the glory for our gifts, that he blesses that. And, I don't know where this will take me. I don't know what exactly God has in store, but I'm so thankful that he's used this gift that I have for his glory. Yeah.
Well, it's an amazing gift that you have, and I'm glad that you're sharing it with the world because more people need to hear it. And I think you have such a gift for writing songs and saying something in a fresh way. And so that is definitely a gift, and you're using it to glorify God. And I love that about your story. I also like how you started young and you took your time and just enjoyed it. You did it because you love it and you enjoy singing and enjoy songwriting, but it was just coming from your heart, and it wasn't anything that anyone was making you do. It was literally coming out of your life. And so it gradually started from, like you said, maybe every few months write a song as it would come to you. Now it seems like you're saying you're more disciplined to write every day and really keep that open and have constant ideas flowing. And I think that's so great for your growth because it's just going to expand over time. And so I think that's encouraging for all of us listening because we need to remember that you start from somewhere. Like you have to start from zero like everybody else, but just gradually building that craft and building your repertoire over time, you'll just get better and better at it. So I think that is so cool. Well, tell me, I know you've been busy gigging and playing a lot, and you've been writing and recording. So in the last year or so, what has your process looked like, and what projects are you working on?
Yeah, so God's really opened a lot of doors in the songwriting world, as far as writing with people who write for, film and TV, being able to write with some record labels. And that's, really exciting. That's a big deal to me because, when I was 11, I never would have thought that that would happen. And, you always go through times of, I think, discouragement when you're like, well, I'm not good enough and I will never do this. But I think it's interesting that when you just enjoy what you do, sometimes those things just kind of come naturally. And God's really opened some awesome doors for me in that regard. Last year, I signed a publishing deal with Randy Cox, which is just incredible. It blows my mind because he was, Amy Grant's and Michael W. Smith's. And it's like, you are a legend in the Christian world and you think I'm a good songwriter, and that's pretty cool. And, I'm just so thankful for him and for the work that he's doing and the work that he's putting in me. And actually it was just a year ago this month that I started working with him, and it's just been an awesome experience.
That is so cool. Well, tell me what it's like working with a publishing deal. Is that something where you have a certain amount of songs that you are kind of commissioned to do every month or every so often? Like, what does that look like?
So we actually do like single song contracts. So it's not, like your regular publishing deal, but, I'll write however many songs in a month and go see him, and he'll say, hey, I want to sign this one and this one and this one. And, it's really awesome. He's given me a lot of freedom, which is not something that you would always get in a publishing deal necessarily.
Right.
And I'm really thankful for that because he's still allowing me to have that, creative flexibility and to be able to write without feeling like, okay, I have this deadline and I have to write so many songs, and really being able to put time into songs and make them something that's good quality.
Yeah, those are the best ones.
Yeah.
Come from your heart and you put the time into it and make it exactly how you want it. And so I think that's really cool that you're getting to do that right now. And you mentioned like pitching songs to film and TV and to other artists and stuff. And that's really fun because you can get super creative with stuff like that. It really takes you out of the box of writing commercially, like for the radio, or even writing for yourself as an artist. You have your own sound and your own style as an artist. But if you're writing for someone else or for a different project, you can really just do something different and be creative and have fun with it. Mm-hmm. So I think there's so many opportunities out there for songs that aren't just recording them for the radio or recording them for an album.
Yeah. And it's so cool writing with, different people from so many walks of life. You see, different people's life experience and how they look at the world. And, it's just interesting. It's interesting to see that perspective, and a perspective that's not my own,
Yeah, I think people's stories impact their songs so much. Whatever you've walked through in your life is going to bring up ideas when you're in the songwriting room. And so even if people have different experiences from you, that can be a good thing. And you can draw from multiple perspectives in the song. That's what I love about co-writing, is that you are coming together to create something new, and it's something different than you would just come up with on your own.
Right.
So what do you love about songwriting with other people, with co-writing? What has that been like for you?
Yeah, I'm a very shy person. I can talk a lot, but I just have a hard time with first-time interactions with people. So, when I first started co-writing, that was a very scary process for me, because I was like, I'm not going to know what to say. I'm not going to have any ideas. Like, my brain's just going to be like, no ideas today. Sorry. But, it's been something that I've kind of had to force myself to do. Say, no, you're going to go write with this person. And, like I said earlier, it's just awesome to see different people's perspective on life, to see different writing styles. Sometimes it pushes you to write something that is not what you ever would have thought of. And that's so cool. When you write with other people and you write with other minds, it just pushes each writer to do better and to write more creatively.
Yeah, I agree. It's so cool to see what comes out of those situations, even though, you may not know what to expect going in. Sometimes you come out with a really, really awesome song at the end. So that is awesome. Well, I know that you've been writing and recording your own original music as well. So what's your latest CD project that you have out now?
Yeah, so I released an EP last year. It's called Nothing on Us, and it has 5 songs. And one of them, I actually entered in a songwriting competition 3 years ago called Nashville Rising Star, and it won, which is crazy. It was the only Christian song in the competition, and I did not expect to win, much less get to like the first round. So, that was pretty awesome to see, like, so I have a couple songs on there that are written with my good friend Josh Bird. That's What's Amazing and Scars. And I just really love this project, and I'm really proud of it. Dave Clow, my producer, did such a great job. And you can find it on iTunes and on my website and all that great stuff.
That's awesome. I did want to mention your website so our listeners can check out your music. And for those who haven't heard of Emma's music yet, you are in for a treat. You're going to love it. An amazing sound and style, and just so professional and inspiring. Your website is emma1music.com. That's emma1music.com. And of course, you're on social media as well. So people can find you on Facebook and Instagram, and on your YouTube channel as well. You've been doing YouTube covers and putting videos out there. So I love to see that you're doing a little bit of everything and putting your music out there. Yeah. So I did want to encourage everyone to go to Emma's website, find her online, get connected to see any new updates as things progress in your career. I also wanted to give you a chance to share some encouragement with the songwriters out there, anyone who's beginning in the journey of songwriting, just getting started, and those who are wanting to improve and get better at their craft. What would you say to songwriters out there who are wanting to get started and get better?
Yeah, absolutely. When I first started writing, Switchfoot is my very favorite band. And I was like, I want to write a Switchfoot song. Well, John Foreman has been writing a lot longer than an 11-year-old. So when I first started writing, there was this discouragement of, well, this is not this. And it's, like this is way up here and what I'm writing is way down here. But just encourage you that you have to take it one step at a time, that your first song is not going to be as good as your 5th song, and it's not going to be as good as your 10th song, and it's not going to be as good as your 100th song. But it's so important just to be disciplined, and even when you don't want to write, still sitting down and writing and saying, no, I'm going to write today. And even if it's just a few lines, that may lead to something down the road. You may look back months later and see, oh, hey, that was actually a really good idea, and I didn't want to write that day. But just encouraging, first of all, to commit every plan to God, to commit every step to God, and really just to enjoy it. I would hate to get to the point where I don't enjoy what I do. And I know there are going to be days when it feels like work, when it is, hard, but at the end of the day, it's worth it. So if you feel like, it's worth it, then I think you're doing the right thing. But again, just committing that work to God is so important, and asking him, is this where you want me to be? And if so, then he will bless that.
I'm glad that you brought that up. It's so important to seek the Lord and to pray about what he has for you, because everybody's journey is different. Mm-hmm. And you brought up comparison as well. Like, well, my song's not as good as so-and-so's who's been writing for decades. Well, that's okay. You need to start where you're at and then work towards that. And that can be a goal and an inspiration, but it shouldn't hold you back and discourage you, because they're just at a different point in their life and in their career. And you have something that is different and that the world needs to hear. And so I think it's important not to get caught up in comparing ourselves to other writers, but just to do our thing and to use our voice and speak what we need to speak. So the Lord will show you what that looks like. And when you're doing it for him, I believe that's the most successful that you could be and the most fulfilled that you could be. And I definitely see that in your life, Emma. I see that in your music, and he is using you so much. I can't wait to see where he takes you from here. Thank you so much for being willing to share your story here today and to share some encouragement with us on the show.
Thank you so much for having me, Lydia.
If you enjoyed this episode, be sure to subscribe, rate, and review this podcast and share it with a fellow writer. Thank you so much for listening. I'll talk to you in the next episode.